Welcome back, my dear nighttime wanderer. My name is Silas, and I'm a storyteller here at Slumberlight Tales. I'm very glad that you found your way here tonight to this quiet corner of the evening where time loosens its grip. The world grows softer at the edges, and the only thing left for you to do is rest. Before we begin, take a moment to arrive where you are. Feel the surface beneath your body, the gentle weight of blankets, the way your head is cradled by your pillow. Let's take a slow breath in through the nose and a long, unhurried breath out through the mouth. Again, in and out. Now, tonight, our story begins already in motion because you are walking, not in a place that belongs to maps or to morning errands or to any name you might say aloud. Above you, a clear sky holds steady stars, close, quiet, patient. Beneath your boots, pale stone stretches on, smoothed by wind and time. Your footsteps make a soft rhythm the night seems to approve of. The air is crisp, smelling faintly of far-off pine and cold rock. Each breath clears a little space inside you. You are not sure where the path began. You don't know where it ends, and somehow that doesn't trouble you. It feels as though you've walked out of a day that asked for too much. One more thought, one more plan, one more decision. Out here, none of that can follow. The wind slides past your cheeks. It doesn't hurry you. It simply moves, steady, purposeful, like water. And that is the first strange thing you notice. The wind sounds wet, a hush, as if something wide and slow is flowing nearby. You slow, listening. The stone beneath your feet grows subtly smoother, faintly warmer, as though it's been prepared for tired travelers. A thin glow gathers along the edges of the path, starlight pooled like silver dust. One more step. The path becomes a shore. The stone slopes gently downward into water that should not be there. A river, not black, not reflective, glowing from within. A deep living light, pearl, silver, and soft, impossible blue, moving in ribbons through the current. The sound is the gentlest hush, like pages turned in a quiet room. You stand at the edge and realize, without fear, that you are not surprised. A quiet part of you recognizes this place, the way you recognize a song you once loved. The shore is empty. No roads, no lights, only the river moving on, unbothered. Then the river answers. A small wooden boat separates from the current and glides toward you. Dark wood, worn smooth carved with curling lines like wind and constellations. Tiny inlays catch the glow and hold it, so the boat seems warmly lit. It aligns perfectly with where you stand and stops, so gently it barely becomes still. And so you step in. The boat steadies beneath you, confident. The moment you sit, it begins to move, carried into the current as naturally as a leaf. The shore slides away. Already, it feels hard to imagine stepping back onto the same stone. A quiet clink reaches you. Porcelain, a soft saucer sound. At the front of the boat, someone sits comfortably, as if they've always been there. A practical coat, the color of midnight, a loose scarf, calm hands. A cup of tea steams lightly in the cold air. They turn their head, kind-eyed, unhurried. Evening, they say softly. Good, you made it before the river had to come looking for you, they say. Relief moves through you, a simple physical relief, like settling something down. Where am I, you ask, keeping your voice small for the sake of the quiet. The river of unused tomorrows, they say. It appears when tomorrow has too many doors, and you've been carrying the keys in your pocket for far too long. They look at you with gentle certainty. You're not here to decide anything, they add. You're here to let the river decide what you can set down. Ahead, points of light drift on the water. Little boats, some tiny, some larger, moving in patient procession. They don't collide, they simply pass, like thoughts that no longer need attention. What are they, you whisper? Tomorrows you didn't need, the guide says. Choices you are allowed to skip. Paths that turned out not to require your footsteps. A pale gold boat slips by, warm as candlelight. For an instant, you glimpse the shape of a letter never sent. Then it softens back into light and continues on. Are they regrets, you ask? The guide's mouth curves, almost a smile. No, they say gently. They're permissions. They watch the passing lights for a moment, then speak again, as if offering a simple, steady truth. People think life is a hallway of doors, they say. So they keep walking, trying every handle, afraid they'll miss the right one. But most doors are just possibilities, and possibilities are not depths. The boat glides on. The river's glow rises and falls like a slow breath. When this river was first made, the guide continues, it wasn't made by magic wands or ancient kings. It was made by a single tired mind somewhere in the world, lying awake and trying to hold every future at once. The moment that mind finally whispered, I can't, the river answered, then don't. and it began to carry what was too much. The words don't feel heavy, they feel like a hand lowering your shoulders. The river curves, and the glow grows warmer, as if it's approaching shallows. First harbor, the guide says. Stretch your legs, nothing here will rush you. The boat drifts to a bright, smooth bank. The water is shallow enough to reveal light moving along the bottom like slow constellations. You step out. Tiny river moths rise from the shallows, wings like petals, bodies like sparks, spiraling lazily around you. Where they pass, a faint shimmer lingers in the air. A fox-like creature pads into the warm stone. Its fur is dark, edged in pale blue light, eyes calm as winter lake. It sits politely near you, tail curled around its paws, as if keeping you company without asking anything. These are small tomorrows, the guide calls softly from the boat. The ones that never needed much courage. You breathe, watching moths drift downstream like slow lanterns. The fox blinks slowly, then leans its head against your shin. Just a brief, gentle wait before standing and padding back toward the water. A river moth lands on your sleeve, its wing dust cool and bright, then lifts away with no hurry. When you return to the boat, you feel slightly lighter. No drama, just less strain. The boat carries on. The river deepens again. The air cools, brightened with a clean mineral edge. For a time, you simply ride, letting the hush do its work. Your thoughts come and go like the little glowing boats, appearing, disappearing, passing, and dissolving into distance. There's a myth, the guide says after a while, that you're meant to become every version of yourself. This river was made the first time someone realized they couldn't, and that they shouldn't have to. They tap their cup lightly, as if emphasizing the simplest part. The river doesn't erase, they add. It repurposes. It turns what you didn't live into warmth for what you are living. Ahead, dark shapes rise, floating islands, drifting gently as if anchored by invisible roots. Lantern flowers glow along their banks, and the boat turns toward them. Second harbor, the guide says. The Garden Islands. You step onto soft, springy ground. The scent is green and sweet. Rain on stone, honey, leaves at night. A deer-like being stands among the lantern flowers. Its antlers are pale light, branching like quiet lightning. It blinks at you slowly, then returns to nibbling a glowing leaf. Above, a ribbon of water, an air-swimming river spirit, drifts between branches, translucent and blue, tiny stars moving inside it. As it passes, lantern flowers brighten, chiming faintly. The guide speaks, voice gentle. Let your eyes rest on the beauty that doesn't ask you to earn it. So you do. You watch the slow life of the island. You listen to a soft trickle of water over stone. You feel time widen, then soften. A stone cat, carved and heavy, lies curled beside a glowing shrub. When you pass, it opens one golden eye, stretches as if it has all the time in the world, then settles again, satisfied. The deer exhales, and its breath sparkles faintly in the air. When you step back into the boat, the river's hush seems to match your breathing. The third stretch begins. The river narrows slightly, then widens again as if it is winding through unseen country. The glow beneath the surface becomes patterned, bands of light moving like slow waves of silk. Third harbor, the guide says. The lantern reef. The boat glides toward a place where the river seems shallow, though you can't quite see the bottom. Instead, you see shapes beneath the water, rounded and bright, like stones, like coral, like sleeping lanterns. The boat touches a sandbar that glows softly under the current. You step out, and the water is only ankle deep, warm as bathwater, cooled to perfect comfort. All around you, the lantern reef hums, not loudly, just a slow, soothing vibration you feel in your bones. Creatures move here, larger and slower than the river moths, but still gentle. A school of luminous fish passes by your ankles, their bodies clear as glass, with tiny lights drifting inside them. When they turn, the river briefly looks like it's filled with falling stars. Near the deeper water, something rises, smooth and curious. A river whale, no larger than a small boat, glides just beneath the surface. Its back is marked with constellations that brighten as it exhales, sending a soft spray into the air. The spray doesn't fall like water. It hangs for a moment, like glittering mist, then dissolves. A pair of long-necked creatures, half heron, half eel, stand in the shallows, heads bowed as if listening to the river's heartbeat. Their feathers shimmer like mother of pearl. The guide speaks softly from the boat. The reef is made of tomorrows that turned into kindness, they say. Every time you thought you should have done more, and instead you rested, the river stored that mercy here. You look down at the glowing sandbar beneath your feet. The light seems to pulse with your very breathing, as if the river is counting your exhale. And this is why we stop, the guide continues. Not to collect anything, just to let your body remember. Rest is not failure, it's a form of care. You stand in the warm shallows, watching the river whale drift past like a slow dream. The humming reef steadies your chest. Your jaw unclenches. Your hands loosen at your sides. When you return to the boat, you feel steadier, not lighter this time, but more held. The guide nods, satisfied. Good, they say simply. Last stretch. The river widens, older in feeling, heavier with meaning, not with threat. The boats of unused tomorrows drift closer here, their lights warmer, more familiar. Some pass so near you can feel their glow on your skin, warm as a candle held near your hands. Above the water hang thin veils, crossing lights, curtains of pale mist that shimmer with gentle color. As the boat glides between them, scents pass like memories: cinnamon, old paper, clean laundry, rain, and the faint comfort of a favorite blanket. Watchers hover at a respectful distance, ink-dark owls with moonlit feathers, silver eels that swim through air, tall reed and stray figures standing still on the far bank like patient guardians of silence. They recognize you, the guide says quietly. That's all. No one is asking you to take anything back. The current gathers itself and moves on, and ahead, at the river's edge, you see it. A very old wooden house, low and wide, sitting right beside the water, as if the river has curled around it for centuries. Its windows glow amber. A thin thread of smoke rises from the chimney. A small dock extends into the current, worn smooth by time. The beat slows as if it has reached something it knows by heart. The last harbor, the guide says. The warming house. The boat touches the dock with a soft wooden whisper. The guide stays seated, steady and familiar. Go on, they say. I'll wait. You've done the hard part already. You step onto warm planks. They creak kindly beneath your boots. Before you reach the porch, the door opens. An old woman stands there, small, wrapped in a soft cardigan, silver hair loose and gentle. Her eyes brighten as if seeing you is the simplest thing in the world. Oh, you must be chilled, she says warmly. Come in, dear. Inside, warmth wraps around you, dry, steady, like a fire that has been burning for hours. The air smells of wood smoke, honey, and black tea. A hearth cracks low and patient, casting slow orange light over bookshelves and folded blankets. The house is not large, but it feels endless in the way comfort can feel endless. A hallway leads to a little kitchen where copper pans hang quietly, catching firelight in their curved sides. A small table holds a half-finished puzzle. Sky blue pieces, stars, a moon in progress, as if someone steps away and returns often. A kettle hums softly on the stove, already ready. Sit wherever you feel easiest, the woman says. Couch is best for tired bones. You sink into the couch, The cushions are deep, the fabric warm, as if it's been saving heat for you. A knitted throw lies folded along the back, thick, slightly weighted, stitched with tiny constellations along the edge. The woman pours tea and sets it within reach. "Hold it," she says kindly. "Let your hands remember warmth." The cup warms your palms. The tea tastes of chamomile and honey, with a bright hint of orange peel. Underneath is a soft herbal note, mint perhaps, cooling the back of your throat like clean air. She sits across from you, not too close, not far, and for a while there's only the fire's slow conversation with the logs. The house creaks once, settling. Somewhere a clock ticks, but the sound is gentle, like a river rather than a demand. The woman watches the steam from your cup. "You've been holding the day with tight fingers," she says softly, "even when the day was done. You don't need to answer. You don't need to agree. The words simply land." She stands and brings a small plate. Oat biscuits, still faintly warm, and a dish of jam catching firelight like ruby glass. Beside it, she places a tiny bowl of butter that smells like salt and comfort. "Something small," she says, "nothing fancy. You take a bite." Sweetness and warmth spread slowly, like calm returning to a room. On the shelf near the hearth sits a jar of smooth stones, each one faintly shimmering. A bowl on the side table holds peppermint candies wrapped in paper that crackles softly when touched. A stack of folded blankets sits in a basket like a gentle offer. You notice a small kettle-shaped lantern hanging by the window. Inside it, a flame burns steady, no flicker, no nervous dance, just a patient glow. The woman follows your gaze and smiles. "This house keeps its light steady," she says. "Travelers arrive with minds that flicker, so we practice steadiness instead." She lifts her own cup and takes a sip. "People think tiredness comes from doing too much," she continues. "But often it comes from holding too many tomorrows at once, from trying to be everywhere you might have been." Outside the window, the river slides past in quiet glow. A few small boats drift by, faint lights, soft colors, moving on without complaint. "You're allowed to be one thing at a time," the woman says, "and you're allowed to be nothing at all for a little while." The woman rises and, without asking, tends to the fire, one careful log placed as though she's setting down a worry. The flames answer with a small brightening, then settle again. She returns with a bowl of warm water and folded cloth. "Just for your hands," she says. "Travel leaves a fine dust, even when it's made of light." You dip your fingers in. The water is pleasantly warm, scented faintly with lavender and cedar. When you dry your hands, the cloth feels thick and soft, like something kept for guests who forget they deserve softness. From the kitchen, she brings one more thing, a tiny pot of cream. She adds a small swirl to your tea, and the steam changes, becoming sweeter, rounder, calmer. All the river ever asks, she says quietly, is that you stop wrestling it. It will carry what you cannot, and it will return what you truly need, and it will keep the rest for later or for never, depending on what brings you peace. She doesn't say it like a lesson. She says it like a lullaby you can choose not to memorize. Your eyelids grow heavy. You don't fight it. She rises and drapes a heavier blanket over your legs, pleasantly weighted, like a hand resting where it's kindest. Rest a moment, she says. You don't have to sleep, but you can. The warmth is thorough. It reaches the places inside you that have been cold without you noticing. You breathe in wood smoke, tea, clean wool. You breathe out, and something unclenches. When you're calmer, when the tightness in your chest has eased into peace, the woman stands and moves to the shelf near the door. She takes down something small, as casually as taking down a book. A smooth oval stone, warm as if it has lived beside the fire. A faint thread of moonlight runs through it. She places it gently in your hands and closes your fingers around it. Just so you don't think you imagined it, she says, smiling. Then, as easily as offering another cup of tea, when you're ready, go on out. The river knows the way home. You stand slowly, the room swaying only in the way a cozy room sways when you've begun to relax. You step back onto the porch. Cold air touches your cheek, clean and kind. The boat waits. The guide waits. They glance at the stone in your hand and nod, as if that is exactly right. All right, they say softly. Let's take you home. The boat pushes off. The house remains behind, windows glowing, smoke rising, like a promise that doesn't need to be spoken. Ahead, a pale veil arches over the water. Mist, not fog. More like kettle steam, more like breath. It shimmers faintly with the river's inner light. You don't need to stay awake for this part, the guide says. You've already arrived. The boat glides beneath the veil. The river's glow fades into familiar darkness. The hush becomes the quiet hum of a house settling. Warm wood becomes warm fabric. Motion becomes stillness. You are on your couch now, in your room. A lamp glows low, honey-colored and steady. Your breath is slow. Your body is heavy in the best way. For a moment, you wonder if it was only a dream. Then your fingers tighten. Something solid presses into your palm. The stone, still warm, is faint thread of glow dimmer now. like embers after a fire, but unmistakably real. Your shoulders loosen one last time. The river doesn't need you to remember it. It only wanted you to rest. And with the warmth of the stone in your hand, and the quiet weight of sleep gathering gently around you, you let your eyes soften, you let your thoughts drift, and your body sink into the kindest part of the night. So sleep well, my dear wanderer, until the next story meets you once more.